Hello everybody, I am Mrs. Smart and you are watching the Nervous System Basics video. This video will not give you all the information you need to pass your test, but it will give you some background information, identify some key information, and get you heading in the right direction. So our three objectives for today are to define what a system is, determine the main functions of the nervous system, and to distinguish between the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. So, what is a system? You should have learned in 6th grade that cells are the basic unit of life. So just like bricks come together to form a house, cells come together to form an organism or any living thing. So the cells form what is called tissue, and that tissue forms organs, and the organs come together to form organ systems. And these organ systems perform life functions. So, for example, your heart is an organ, and it is part of the organ system called the circulatory system, and it allows blood to travel throughout your body. Another example would be the digestive system, which includes organs such as the esophagus and your stomach and your small intestine and your large intestine, which all allow you to get nutrients from the food you consume. But today, of course, we are focused on the nervous system, which has three main functions: to gather information, maintain homeostasis, and respond to stimuli. And the reason I chose the picture you are seeing is because the nervous system works a lot like electricity, where it's constantly sending signals. So the first function is to gather information. The nervous system uses the 5 senses to collect data. So sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch are all used to gather information from our outside environment that your body will then use to cause a response. The nervous system also uses language to think, learn, and remember. Maintains homeostasis. That is the second job of the nervous system. You might remember the term homeostasis from 6th grade, and basically what it means is keeping a normal, stable environment in the body. So, for example, the nervous system might detect that the body is too hot or too cold. This will cause a response, such as sweating or shivering, to get the body back to the temperature that is normal for it. And the third function of the nervous system is to respond to stimuli. A stimuli or stimulus is a change in the environment, and a response is the reaction to that stimulus. A reflex is an automatic response, so it's involuntary. An example of a response to stimuli might be that you leave a dark classroom and go outside where it's very bright. Because it's so bright, that's a change in your environment, so it's a stimulus, and your response might be to block your eyes. A reflex would be for your pupils to dilate. Okay. There are some main parts of the nervous system. We break the nervous system down into 2 smaller systems: the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. You might not be familiar with the word peripheral. What it means is just the outside or secondary area. So you might have heard of someone saying, like, in their periphery they saw something. And that means not where they were really looking, but in the side of their eye they saw something. So not the main area, but just outside of it. So the main system, the central nervous system, includes our brain and our spinal cord. And then outside of that, we have our peripheral nervous system, which is just made up of the nerves in your entire body. Of course, the brain and the spinal cord are incredibly important, and that's why they're so well protected. So we have our skull and then our vertebrae protecting our spinal cord. So if you feel your back, if you feel those bones, it's not your spinal cord, it's your vertebrae. The peripheral nervous system is made up of two smaller systems, the somatic and the autonomic nervous systems. The somatic system controls voluntary movement. So all my hand gestures are being controlled by the somatic system. The autonomic system controls involuntary movement, such as breathing. So your brain doesn't have to think, oh, you need to breathe now. Don't forget to breathe now. Your body just does it automatically, while you do sort of have to think about moving your arm up. Okay, so the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system include neurons. Neurons are the basic unit of the nervous system, and you can see a picture off to the side of what a neuron looks like, but in a later video we're going to go into more details about the neuron. But between neurons there's what is called a synapse, and the synapse is basically a gap. It's really easy to think of these gaps as just empty space, but they are full of activity. There's a lot going on there. So what you're seeing on the bottom right of your screen is two different neurons. So neuron A, neuron B. And neuron B's axon is releasing neurotransmitters. And these neurotransmitters are basically chemical signals, which are being picked up by the dendrite of neuron A. And this area right here is the synapse between them. So there's a lot of activity going on. This is where all the signals are shared. So sending signals. The neuron picks up the stimuli. So you put your hand on a hot plate and your neurons go, whoa, that's hot. And then they send that information to the next neuron. So it's like a telephone. They're going, whoa, that's hot, whoa, that's hot, whoa, that's hot. And it travels up the spinal cord all the way to the brain. And then the brain chooses a response. Obviously, if you're touching a hot pan, your brain is going to tell you to take your hand off of it. Now, this happens very, very quickly. It's not a slow process. It's nearly automatic that you touch something hot and you let go. So these were our objectives for the video, and hopefully we covered them all. So define what a system is. We talked about how a system is a group of organs that come together to perform life functions. We determine the main functions of the nervous system, which are to gather information, maintain homeostasis, and respond to stimuli. And we distinguish between the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. So we know that the central nervous system is made up of the brain and the spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system is all the other nerves in your body. So I would like you to answer in the discussion on Canvas, what are the three functions of the nervous system, what organs are involved in the central nervous system, and give an example of a stimulus and a reasonable response. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you in class.